Hey guys, Mark Fujita here, and I am actually sitting in a panel. It's called Breaking into Animation. It's held by my friend Will Feng, and he actually brought his friends who actually work with Warner Brothers Animation, and they've been working with Cartoon Network. They've been working on shows like Metalocalypse, and there's a few other shows that they've been working on. So they're going to show us the tips and tricks of how to get into the industry. All right, so enjoy.
Welcome to Breaking Into Animation. We are all industry professionals. Briefly, to all our guests, the question is, how did you guys get into animation?
I actually got started by temping, of all things. I wound up temping Cartoon Network in the recording studio for 2 days. And they liked me so much, they actually had me temp for the head of the studio. And as of 2009, I started doing recruiting. I go to conventions, I do portfolio reviews, and that kind of thing.
One of my classmates in school, Matt Youngberg, remembered the work I did in college, and he was working as a storyboard artist on Teen Titans. And I applied, and they decided to give me a chance, and I started as character designer there.
What happened was that I went to an animation job expo, and mind you, I was like 19 years old. Marvel Studios, they had seen, I came up there, and the guy ahead of me had done a lot of comic book work, and so I was just looking over the guy's shoulder and just listening to what the director there was talking to him about, and he said, "Hey, do you know how to do storyboards?" And the guy's like, "What?" And luckily, twist of fate or something, I had jammed in my storyboards, which was just on a regular animation bond paper. It had like coffee stains, it was folded in half, it was the most ugliest thing ever. But he peeled it open, looked at the shots, and then he looked at me and he's like, "How old are you?" And I'm like, 19, probably 20, as if like he hadn't listened to me. He gave me a test, he gave me a script of and this was back when they were doing the Spider-Man. It was back on Fox, back in like the mid-90s, so that was my first show. So he gave me a script from that, and I think it was a fight with Spider-Man versus Hobgoblin. I turned it in, and they gave me a call and said, "Hey, would you like to start?" And I'm like, "Well, okay." I was like, "You're gonna pay me to draw? This is the most amazing thing."
Every time we came up with a portfolio review, people were like, "Well, what do you want to do?" And I was like, "I want to do everything. Like, I want to draw, I want to do character design, I love characters, I love storyboarding, I love this." And they're like, "No, you have to pick something." I was like, "Oh, I can't pick anything." And so nobody would ever hire me, and then like 2 years later, the South Park guys saw my portfolio, and they were like, "We need someone who can do everything." Because they have 5 people who do the character designs, the backgrounds, the storyboards, everything in 1 week. And I was like, "Yeah, I can totally do that." And I couldn't, but I learned really fast. And then from there, I went to American Dad after that.
My parents actually own a toy store in Chinatown. And one day, a prop artist from Sony walked into the store. I actually always have a portfolio ready to show, because I don't know who I bump into. So I showed it to him, and he's like, "This looks pretty good." But at the time, he's like, "I can bring it in and show it to someone." So he ended up showing it to one of the directors, and like the director liked it, and he hired me on the spot. And from that point on, I just went from studio to studio, and it's pretty amazing. So what I would recommend to everyone is just be ready. Like, if you're ready, people will hire you.
I went to Roland High School in Roland Heights, California, and at the time they had an animation program. And when I graduated in '96, I was very lucky, and there's a friend of mine who I showed my portfolio to, who worked at Geek. I don't know if you guys remember that studio. I was able to get my first job there towards the end of '96, and it was I was doing character design cleanup on Mummies Alive.
I started out in live action, and I was working on some stellar programming that had Lorenzo Lamas in it. When I got a call from a friend of mine who I went to art school with, and he called me and said, "Hey, I actually sold an animated series to MTV, and I don't know what I'm doing. Do you want to help me?" And I was like, "I don't know what I'm doing either, but let's try it out." So the show ended up being MTV Downtown, and we got a NEMI nomination for that. And then I kind of figured, I keep doing this animation thing, so we sold another show to Cartoon Network called Megas, and that's kind of how I got sucked in.
What kind of advice would you give, like overall, to people who want to get in and want to do this for a living?
Do research. research before you put your portfolio together. Figure out exactly what it is you want to apply for. If you want to do character design, do a character design portfolio. If you want to do storyboards, do a storyboard portfolio. Just find out where there are opportunities to meet people in the industry, and even if they aren't hiring, getting feedback on your artwork and how you put your portfolio together is a huge advantage, I think.
Know the style of the show you're applying for. Show that you can draw in that style. And it's okay to have some fan art, I found out, but you need to have original stuff. You need to show that you can draw form. You still need to do figure drawing. Even good anime has the same fundamentals that Disney does.
I didn't go to school, but I'm always drawing. And I'm always looking at what's good too. So you gotta develop good sensibility, that's the thing. Be able to distinguish what's good and what's bad.
We all look at anime, we all look at different artists from around the world. We got French artists, Spain artists, artists from South America, and as well as American and Japanese artists. And that's all what influences us into what we end up doing.
I mean, look at other artists, but also look from life. Like look at sea creatures, look how things move, look at color. Like that's where the good artists pull from.
Well, the other thing too is open to criticism, because you're never going to be perfect. When we work, we're always, you have to fix this, you have to fix that, you have to do this, you have to do that.
Don't ever work somewhere where they tell you you have to work weekends or they'll fire you. Or that you have to work overtime, or that they say they're paying $500 weeks. Like, it's not worth it. It's okay to leave. You're better spending your time working on your portfolio, drawing, meeting people.
By the time I had Jay, the prop artist, went to the store, I actually tried for 2 full years, jumping studio to studio. But I never gave up, and I constantly improved my portfolio.
I kept applying. I applied to Neopets, they said no. Applied to Nick, they said no. Applied to Cartoon Network. When you are not working, it's okay to work on your own stuff. It's a good idea to make your own characters, make your own stories. I mean, online is free. I mean, pay for internet, but YouTube's free. Make your own cartoons, put them online, and like make comics if you like making comics. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, there's stuff that's come out of that, and it helps you. It keeps you practicing, it keeps your brain active. For anyone who's in high school, there's a program, it's called InterSpark now. When I went, it was called CISA, California State Summer School for the Arts. And I'm a Washington State person, but they let in like, I think 50 out-of-state people. I actually think it influenced me more than going to CalArts because there wasn't this weird pressure and competition. Actually, there was a thing called Regional Maple Leaf that was up in Canada. And I recommend you guys to look that up. I think they still have it. It's quarterly. They have a handbook for teenagers that they give out, but they find an artist for every handbook, and they give $10,000 to that person that they pick. And because of that, I was able to get a Dell computer, so I could put my portfolio together. I was able to build a website. I was able to get a scanner finally.
I teach at Concept Design Academy in Pasadena, taking my class. You know, if you really want to get into pre-production, I've hired, how many people have I hired? 5, 6? Well, mostly all the new people in the studio, all my former students.
I took his story class, and it was really helpful. Like, it kind of helped categorize what I had learned on Craven the Bull, and I really highly recommend it.
And not only is there the artist aspect, but there's also, you know, the production aspect. You can go in and become like producers, writers, production managers, coordinators. Like, one thing that Lori wanted to mention was, you know, intern.
Cartoon Network just changed their policy, so you can get an internship at Cartoon Network without having to go to school full-time. You don't have to go to school at all. And they're actually paying people now. And all of the studios have internship programs. Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, Disney, DreamWorks has an animation program. Do your research on the smaller studios, because there are not going to be as many people applying for those, because they don't necessarily know that they exist.
You know, the core element that keeps you up at night, keeps you working, I think, is dream your own dreams. And that's what I would tell you guys. Dream your individual dreams, whatever visions you have. We need those. The industry needs those. We need new stories and new ways of looking at things. So, you know, that would be my one kind of mission statement to you guys.